Hello fellow producer, this is Onesto, and today I'm going to show you 5 of the best ways to use Cassette from Wavesfactory. Fortunately, this plugin is really simple to use, but I think these 5 tips just allow you to get the most out of it and just to really have more fun using this plugin. Alright, cool, let's get straight into this. Before I get to tip number 1, I just want to say that this video is not going to be a walkthrough. It's not going to be a demo necessarily. If you want that kind of video, I made one. You can check it out where I go through every single slider and knob and just talk about how wonderful this plugin is. Okay, so here's the very first tip. The first tip is to not ignore this input knob. Actually, care about this thing. It's really cool what it does. So this is what this input knob is doing. So it's taking into account the different cassette tape model, the different tape deck models from down here, and all these different varieties, all these different variations. They have different ways of dealing with frequency response, saturation, compression, and even like the cassette noise itself. So when you increase the input, what you're doing is that you're injecting more of those characters and putting into your sound itself. All right, so let me show you what I mean. I'm gonna be messing around with this vocal here and just be increasing this input knob. So here we go.
Even if I'm on the train, I thought I'm on, wasn't the right one.
Yeah, so you can hear,
Gotta trust your gut, yeah,
it sounds like the saturation is more intense, the compression is a bit more intense. Yeah, versus that. Cool, so let's just keep it around here for this demo. Yeah, so please use the input knob. It gets the characteristics from these different tape deck models and cassette models and infuses it into your sounds. All right, tip number 2 is how to fine tune and even use the stability and artifacts knobs. So these 2 knobs, they're really powerful, but I think it's not very intuitive on knowing like what's really happening. So stability and artifacts, they are directly connected to the controls here on the advanced panel. So the stability knob is going to be affecting this, and the artifacts knob is affecting all these controls here. And I like to see the stability and artifacts knob as like a wet, dry control for these advanced controls here. This is how I like to fine tune this stuff. I like to put stability at 0% or artifacts at 100%, and then push these controls to as far as I could ever want it. And then I dial the stability knob back. So let me show you how I do that. All right, cool. A little less, and then some of this. Cool, so I'm liking the way that sounds. If you're wondering what these controls are doing, just really quick, wow and flutter, they're both dealing with pitch fluctuations. The only difference is like the speed of like the LFO wave that it's working with. So let's hear it again. Yeah, definitely heavy-handed. So now I'm just gonna draw back the stability knob. Okay, and man, the BPM of this track is making me want to talk and do this thing as fast as I can. I'm sorry if I'm like speeding up. Man, I gotta like take a break. Okay, as I'm taking a break, I want whoever's watching this video, I want to give them a chance to help out the other fellow producers out there. In the comments below, could you tell us what are some other plugins you use? What are some other tips and tricks that you use to allow your sounds to feel more lo-fi or imperfect or just vintage? I want us to all learn from each other, not just from me, because that's so boring. So yeah, just let us know in the comments below. All right, tip number 3 is I'm going to show you the most underrated features. The recassette, that's the underrated feature, stability, randomness, and random snap. I love these sliders so much. I think they just make Cassette feel a bit more unique compared to other plugins out there that kind of try to do this thing. So we'll start with stability randomness. What this is doing, there's a nice little story behind it. When Wavesfactory, when they were analyzing wow and flutter across these different tapes and tape decks, what they realized is that the pitch fluctuations, they don't happen at a constant rate. They don't happen at a perfect like 1.89 hertz just all the time, or 10.13 hertz. There's always randomness involved because you're dealing with physical objects. I was going to say organic, but it's not organic. They are machines. Stability randomness, what it's doing is that it's taking these numbers here, and instead of just having this constant rate, it's giving a little bit of fluctuation. So you can hear at 100% that things do feel a bit more wonky. But let's just have it at a lower rate. And suddenly, this effect no longer sounds so much like this digital algorithm. Now it sounds a bit more I don't know, real. Okay, the next slider I love is Cassette. And what this is doing is like, imagine you dial in all your settings, you're happy with the way things sound. However, you wish that cassette was like more intense, like it had more of an effect. And usually what you do, you go to your effects chain and just duplicate the plugin until you like where it sits. Well, this little slider does that duplication for you up to 4 times. So it's just increasing the same exact settings, but it's just like doubling down, tripling down, quadrupling down. So I'll just show you how that feels. 1, 2, it gets grosser and even grosser. So I just love using this to just see like, oh, what would happen if it was a more intense effect. And then random snap. This is something else that I really like to use. So random snaps in the artifact control corner. However, it's gone rogue. It has, it's like completely independent of where artifacts this knob is set to. It can be off, it can be at 100%, but it's still gonna do its thing. And what random snap is doing is that it's simulating what happens when tape gets stuck and then it gets like free and it goes back to being like normal. And when that happens, you get these little quick pitch dips and increases. It's pretty cool. So I'll just increase it at 100%, which means that this random snap is going to be happening quite a bit. You hear that? Yeah. So I think that's a really nice little surprise. I think I just love that effect, but I don't want it to happen all the time. I usually keep it like under 10%. Maybe a little more. Yeah, so I like it at the setting. I like that happen sometimes. It's a nice little like music producer surprise that only you and your music producer friends will hear, which is so fun. Cool, so here's tip number 4, which is you should make your own presets with this plugin. In almost all my videos, I'm like the biggest fan of presets and sample packs and just letting someone else do all the designing, and then I just kind of curate and pick something that I like. But this is the thing with this plugin. Their presets are pretty intense. So let me show you what I mean. Yeah, that's pretty intense. There we go. Okay, I love that this plugin can do all those different effects, but when I reach for this plugin, I usually wanted to just give it some character, give it a vibe rather than being an effects in itself. All right, so the last tip in this video, it's not so much like a how to use, but it's like a when to use this plugin. I found that as I've been working with this thing, that when you put cassette on like a single instrument or even an instrument group in the midst of like a buildup or something really busier, like a drop, the effect of cassette kind of gets lost. Like that texture kind of goes away because there's all these other things that you're paying attention to. So let me go ahead and just play the weakest buildup like fill ever, and then it'll lead you to this guitar. So it does sound nice, but I think with like cassette on the guitar drop, it can just be so much cooler. Yeah, I just think it just gives a listener, I don't know, something more interesting to listen to. All right, so those are the 5 best ways to use cassette that I found so far. I hope that these tips help you out a whole lot. But before we end this video, I want to give a producer pep talk, just kind of sharing something that I've been learning over the past few weeks. Recently, I've gotten really busy. My wife and I, we have this little business and things are just picking up, which is super cool. But that means that my practice in music has to kind of take a backseat. And it drives me crazy sometimes because I wish I could do that all day, every day, like many of you. But also like many of you, right now music isn't like paying your bills. So you gotta like be willing to say like, sorry music, and I gotta go pay rent, you know? And that's okay, it's completely normal. But the hard thing is like, I think it gets really more like extra difficult when I start to believe that my growth and development, that my craft, that like making songs and all that stuff, that there's some kind of race out there. Like I have to finish to do all these things by this mysterious state that I don't even know when. It's just as fast as possible. You know, that's like, I gotta do this as fast as possible. I gotta grow as fast as possible. And I think that's a lie. As fast as possible, no. There's urgency, of course. Like, I still want to have that drive. However, if it's causing me to stress out, then that sucks. I'm not having fun. I'm not enjoying this thing, and the music I make is not going to be as good as it can be because I'm stinking stressed, right? So I hope for you, I hope you relate to what I'm saying. I hope that you hear and start to ponder if, like, this urgency, maybe it's not as urgent as you think. Because other things need to be about priority. Like, sure, making money, hanging out with your family, friends, just resting for yourself. Those things should be priorities over music sometimes. So yeah, I hope that helps. Hope that makes sense. If you feel that way or just have something else to add, let me know in the comments, all right? So that is the end of this video. If you want to learn more about plugins I really, really like, click on the videos here. And if you want to try out Cassette and just like a demo of it, I have a link in the description that will take you to Wavesfactory's site where you can demo it. And if you're interested, go ahead and buy that thing. And if you're new, please consider subscribing because I would love to hang out with you again. All right, I'll see you later. Bye.